Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, lio lio desimcha. Siva gedola, lio lio desimcha. Siva gedola, lio lio desimcha. Siva gedola, lio desimcha. Siva gedola, lio 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 desimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Siva gedola, lio desimcha. Siva gedola, lio desimcha. Siva gedola, lio lio desimcha. Siva gedola, lio desimcha. Someone smile. Be the reason someone smile. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles.
Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla raba emunatecha.
No ya mavdil ben kodesh lecha.
off now. Say Baruch, Shem, Kevod, Machuto, La'olam, Va'ed. So that was Hear O Israel, God is one, God is our God. And then we're going to say one more sentence, which is Ve'ahavta, Es, Adonai, Elohecha, which means I love God, my God, B'chol Levavcha, B'chol Levavecha, which means your entire heart, B'chol Nafshecha, B'chol Nafshecha, which is your whole soul, B'chol Me'odecha, which is your entire being. Everything about me, I'm going to love God. Beautiful. Look at that. Mazel tov.
Sam, can I take a picture?
Yeah, go for it.
You mind?
Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Ellie. It is Sunday. Woof! Can you believe that? I'm sorry. It is the 22nd day of September, the 7th day of MarCheshvan. The Torah portion is Lech, Lecha. You should go forth from your land. HaYom, Yom Rishon l'Shabbos, the first day. Counting up towards Shabbos, be learning the first Aliyah. How are you today? Good Bach. Shavua Tov, a good week. I hope your Shabbos was amazing and that the week to come is everything that you need it to be, and of course, a little bit of what you want it to be as well. We had a great Shabbos here. Nothing amazingly new to report, but we'll talk about stuff as we get into this. All right? All right. All right, is what they say, right? Let us begin. Soldiers in Israel still need tzitzis. Can you imagine?
We asked them what they wanted and what they needed, and they said that they need tzitzit. Tzitzit. That's all they're going to get. That's all they want. That's amazing. They want tzitzit. We're going to buy for them and bring it over. Amit is the kedusha. Sunday morning you're going to get tzitzit here. That rides back.
They want 20 pairs of tzitzis.
20 pairs? Done. It's finished.
All right, tzitzis for Israel. You want to get involved? Let me know, and we will hook you up. All right, let's men and boys take you to front tzitzis. Let's make a bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit.
Right, everyone together, al divrei Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah.
Hareini mikabel.
Hareini mikabel alay mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
Torah tziva.
Ay Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov.
Right, and that gives us time to give tzedakah. Brings us to time to give tzedakah.
I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
All right, tzedakah has been given. Thank you so very, very much. That takes us to saying the Shema. Are you ready? Let's go back to that 2-year-old. Right hand over your eyes. Right. And now that brings us to breakfast. All right. Are you ready? I have my coffee and my yogurt right here. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyah bidvaro.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way. Yeah.
All right. I feel like Matthew McConaughey. Today in Jewish history. Lot going on. Today is the day that the last Jew came home in the Second Temple era. Cheshvan 7, today, the 7th day of Cheshvan, was the date on which the most the people who lived the furthest from the Holy Temple on the banks of the Euphrates River, a 15-day journey's distance from Jerusalem, arrived at their homestead upon returning from the Sukkot festival, rich month of Tishrei. All Jews would wait for this before beginning to pray for rain. So the 7th day of Cheshvan marked the return to everyday activities following the spirituality of the festival-rich month of Tishrei. And so only today in Israel do they start saying Mashiv Haruach Umorid HaGeshem. And in Israel, they start saying Tal Umatar to the blessing in the Amidah. All right? The same Tal Umatar. All right. Yeah. Today is the last day to make Kiddush Levana. You want to make sure that you get that in while you can. It is also the yahrzeit of Rabbi Meir Shapiro of Lublin, the founder of the Daf Yomi, the Page a Day regimen of Talmudic study. He died in 1933. All right. Let's see some things happening in Israel.
I do know you. You were with me in the worst time of my life. I go places and people tell me, you don't know me, but I know you. And really, in the most honest way, I find myself answering that it's not so. It's a real thing. It means so much. People thousands and thousands of miles away say, what do I matter? And you do matter. You make a difference.
Right? All right. Here's another one.
The Bible, the best-selling book, the basis of all major religions, including Christianity and Islam, makes it very clear. A promised land was promised to Abraham. and then to his son Isaac, and then to his son Jacob. And the Jewish people who descended from them went into Egypt, everyone knowing that they would come back to the promised land. But the Canaanites and the others occupied the land. And when the Jews finally came back after a terrible genocide, Holocaust, and slavery, we don't want to give it to you, it's not yours. But the Jews owned that land. Abraham bought it. It wasn't just promised. He insisted on purchasing it so no one should ever have any claims. So they had to unfortunately go to some war after 40 years in the wilderness. After 210 years in bondage, they finally came back home. And the Jews settled the land.
Yep. And one more for you today.
Our brothers and sisters in Israel are under attack. So many precious lives have been taken. Families are bereft. So many are suffering the horrors of captivity. The depth of the evil perpetrated is unthinkable. Let us be clear. The barbaric attacks launched by the murderous Hamas terrorists were not about the borders of Israel, not about attaining political or military objectives. Our enemies target the very existence of the Jewish people. And as anti-Semitism surges in capitals across the world, we are all on the front lines. This war is about who we are and what we stand for, an ongoing attempt to uproot our eternal values and history, our divine mission. As the brave soldiers of the IDF wage a just and heroic military battle to ensure Jewish survival, let us all join hands to issue a clear statement of intent that we will not succumb, we will not submit, and we will not forsake our eternal values. It's no coincidence that Hamas attacked on Shabbat. Shabbat is who we are. It is the very soul of the Jewish people. It is the God-given gift that has within it everything we need at this time of historic challenge and forever. Resolve and inner peace, faith and purpose, family and community, and the meaning of being a Jew. And so, let the word go forth that on this year's Shabbat project, every Jew in every corner of the globe will be keeping Shabbat from sunset on Friday, November 3, until stars out on Saturday, November 4. A sublime moment of global Jewish unity. One people, one heart, one Shabbat. Let's keep it together for Israel. Am Yisrael Chai. May God bless us all.
That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. All right. All right. Let us move on to HaYom Yom for today, the 7th day of
היום הזה הוא זמן שמחתנו, שמע את התפילה שבליבנו, ותמחול את כל עוונותינו ביום הזה.
HaYom Yom, for the 7th day of Cheshvan, the Rebbe writes that since Torah was given, the correct order or sequence is that first we remove the arla of the body, which is the bris. Then we remove the arla of the tongue, the dullness and the insensitivity of the tongue. And then we remove the arla of the heart. And that corresponds to action, speech, and thought. Because thought is in the heart. Our father Avraham, who lived before the Torah was given, he first recognized his Creator, and that's in thought. His heart was purified. Then he disseminated godliness through speech, and his tongue was purified. And finally, he was given a mitzvah of circumcision in the physical, the act of refinement. But for us, after the Torah is given, we begin with deed, and then go on to speech, and then to thought.
Hamaisa hu ha'ikar. The action is the main thing. Okay? All right. I'm sorry. That now takes us to a word from our sponsors.
And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidall.com.
PestProRidall.com. Trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidall.com.
Tarzane Group. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565. And order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications. Logos, wall hangings, Judaica. And you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
All right. Patreon.com/theactorsrabbi or breakfastwithelli.live/tipjar if you would like to contribute today to taking Torah all around the world. All right. On Sundays, we do the name of the Parsha. And I'm just waiting for my computer to cooperate with me because it's being a little wonky today. A little today? I know. Let me see if I can get it to fix itself. All right, name of the Parsha. Here we go. And it doesn't want to go to the next one. So, we've got it right here, right? Name of the Parsha. All right. While normally I would look at it on the screen, I'm going to look at it in the book. The Rabbi Rashab, Rabbi Sholem Doper of Lubavitch, once said, Breshis is a joyous Parsha, even though its end is not too pleasant. Noach is all about the flood, and though it's a joyous ending with the birth of Avram, the father, our father, is a strange Parsha. Lech, however, is a truly joyous week. Every day of the week we live with Avram, our father, who was the first person to dedicate his life to spreading godliness in the world. And Avram's trait of self-sacrifice has since been inherited by all Jews. Now, this begs the question, why doesn't this load? That's the question. That is the big question. All right. What do we do over here? How do we get this to work better? Very strange. Let me see if I can move this. No, doesn't want to work. I'm so sorry. All right, we shall continue. This begs the question. If Breshis had just ended a few verses earlier, it could have been an entirely joyous Parsha. Since its not too pleasant parts would have been included in the more somber Parshas Noach. Similarly, Parshas Noach would have ended or could have ended before the birth of Avram, keeping its content more uniform. Why is the Torah arranged so that the first two Parshas contain contradictory themes and only Parshas Lech Lecha is the only and first true joyous week? Good question. Well, Breshis describes the work of Hashem, Noach, the efforts of man, and Lech Lecha, the cooperation of man with Hashem. Therefore, Breshis ends with the birth of Noach, and that Noach found favor in the eyes of Hashem. Neither of these events required any effort from Noach. They were both the work of Hashem. Noach ends with the birth of Avram and his efforts to come close to Hashem. But since Hashem had not yet communicated with him, these details were included in Parshas Noach, which speaks of man's efforts. Only in Parshas Lech Lecha do we begin to read the convergence between Hashem and his creations. For only when Hashem spoke to Avram for the first time at the beginning of our Parsha did the era of human-divine cooperation begin. This communication to Avram was the precursor of Sinaitic revelation, which would witness the development of this cooperation into a comprehensive, coherent system of 613 commandments, mitzvot. So Hashem tells Avram, Lech lecha me'artzecha, go away from your prior value system, from your land, from your birthplace. This new era of cooperation required a totally fresh approach. The willingness to progress beyond that which man can achieve through his own efforts, which is the theme of last week's Parsha Noach, so that he become a partner with Hashem in enacting the divine plan of creation. Wow. So, Hashem said to Avram, Lech lecha ma'artzecha, go away from your own benefit, from your land, from your birthplace, and from your father's house to a land that I will show you. The practical message within the opening of our Parsha is, Lech lecha, usually translated as go to yourself or go for yourself, could also be rendered as go to yourself. Reveal your true identity. You are a child of Avram, and to do this, me'artzecha, you have to go from your land, your worldliness, your physical desires, umoladetecha, from your birthplace. Do not do mitzvahs by rote, as a habitual routine which you were brought up to follow. Umibeis avicha, from the house of your father. In Hasidic thought, wisdom is referred to of the father, and in this verse, the father refers to the wisdom of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. The Torah tells us, go away from your evil inclination. Don't be a wise guy when it comes to doing mitzvahs. Don't rationalize them away. And through all of the above, we come El Eretz Asher Areka, to a land that I will show you, that Hashem will lead us to and reveal to us true spirituality, which is Hashem's supernal land. Wow, that's pretty amazing. I was wowed by that one. I love that one. All right, here's Rabbi Aftzin, today's Chumash with Rabbi Aftzin. Hey, good morning, Avi. Oh, man. Why is my computer giving me such incredible problems today? Let's see what I can do about this. might have to. Let's see. Let me try restarting Chrome, and hopefully it won't completely kill me here. So give me a moment. Possible. All right. Let's try this again. Rabbi Afton.
I have a few skills that can help. Do you mean ask a rabbi?
Alexa, stop. All right. Fantastic. All right, here's Parsha Points, Rabbi Epstein.
Parsha Points for Lech Lecha Sunday. What's the hardest part of becoming frum? Giving up your favorite restaurant, Saturday golf, the cost of day school tuition? Maybe it's more about giving up one's social, economic, and communal standing aspirations. If I grew up thinking that life is about success, 2 cars in the 3-car garage, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, then leaving that for a life of mitzvahs is really hard. That's Hashem's call to Avram and to us, to abandon those false idols and pursue the land, the desires that God will show us.
Well, that was cool, right? All right, Shnayim Yomi for today.
Parashat Lech Lecha, Rishon. Shalom Aleichem. Parashat Lech Lecha starts with a promise to Avraham Avinu. Lech Lecha, me'artecha, u'mimolatecha, u'mibet avicha. Avraham Avinu would obviously do as Hashem commands. Hashem commands him. He needs a reward. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives him a reward to do it, an incentive in order to do it. Ve'escha legoy gadol, va'avarechecha, va'gadela shemecha, ve'yeh beracha. Rashi says over here that he promised him all those things because הדרך גורמת לשלושה דברים. ממעטת פריה ורביה, a person that goes on a road and on a journey, he loses a lot of things with that. פריה ורביה is not going to be as fruitful. ממעטת את הממון, he loses a lot of money on the way. He's going on a journey. You spend a lot of your money and loses a lot of assets. ממעטת את השם, people don't know you in a new place. Where you were, you started building up a reputation in a new place. Nobody knows you. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, go, I'll be together with you, I'll give you all these rewards. But it's very interesting. Avraham Avinu would do it regardless. He was willing to sacrifice his child for no reward, for no incentive at all. Just you ask, I do. Avraham Avinu was Eved Hashem. Anything that Hashem would ask him to do, he would do regardless. So why does he need to get over here all different types of incentives in order to leave the place? And the answer is that Avraham Avinu obviously would do it regardless. Avraham Avinu doesn't need any of that. But over here the Torah teaches us something. Whether we would do it regardless or not, anything that Hashem has commanded us in the Torah comes with a reward in this world and the next world. Whatever you do is for our own benefit. If Hashem asks us to be Shomer Shabbat, the Shabbat will be benefiting us. We think that we do it for Hashem. The answer is no, we don't do anything for Hashem. When Hashem told us to do something, it's for our own good. You keep the Shabbat protects you. The Shabbat comes to be for you. And anything else with that as well. You keep Hashem command, there is a reward together with that in this world and the next world. And that Hashem just tells him. You should know in the beginning of the Torah, in the very beginning, where he starts informing us that there are commands, and he commends Avraham Avinu with those things, he first tells him you should know whether you'll do it or not. It's also there to benefit you and to be for your own good.
All right. We have Rabbi Martyr with us today.
Boker Tov, good morning. We continue with the 3-minute daily dose of Torah. Sorry that we've had a 2-week break from this since Sukkot, so we're back together. A very changed world for the Jewish people, as we are well aware. I want to have us look at Perek Yudalid, chapter 14, Parshas Lecha and Bereshis, and it's taken on more different meaning as we find ourselves where we do. it's a lengthy story about a Melchama which isn't ours. It's 4 kings and 5 kings and fighting. Apparently has to do with tribute money that's owed or that's demanded. And so it's as to speak indelicately, it's goyim fighting goyim, right? That's what it is. And doesn't make. Why is it here? Why do we care about it? And the answer is because in the midst of it all, the following is presented to us. After they do battle in the Emek Hasidim, and people get stuck in the mire, and they fall there, and they all flee to the hills. And in Pasuk Yud Aleph, Vayichu et kol rechush Sodom va'Amorah, v'et kol achlam vayelechu, and the other kings, right? They take all of the wealth, possessions of Sodom and Amorah, and all their food, and they leave. Vayichu et Lot v'et rechusho, and they take Lot and his possessions. Ben Achi Avram, he is Avram's nephew. Vayelechu, and they left. V'hu yoshev b'Sdom, he had been dwelling there in Sdom. Mefarshim have a lot to say about this, trying to understand the point that's being made. V'hu yoshev b'Sdom, is it that he now has become one of the residents of Sodom, and he's there to be grabbed? As some also point out, their battle is the battle. They battle in the out there, and they have a traditional war there in the fields, Emek Hasidim, and then they make their way to the city. And Lot is just in the city. He's just a person there. He's not a fighter, and he's there for the taking. He's there to be grabbed. And so Lot is now a captive. And because Lot's a captive, that makes it our story. It becomes our story because Lot is Avram's nephew, and Avram will be drawn in. And that's what we're looking at here. Tomorrow we'll talk about Avram is being drawn in, and those who will be on Avram's side as well. Wishing you all a good day. If you have a chance to look at some of the text, you should. I encourage you to do so. Chapter 14. Have a good day.
Yom Kippur, the most important holiday of the whole year, the Day of Atonement, the day where
Liftoff of the space shuttle, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
What is the final frontier?
Space.
Space.
Final frontier.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of... I love it.
Houston, can you identify the objective of this line of inquiry? Just need to adjust the camera here.
I'm not Houston, but yeah, Abraham.
Houston, I'm not Abraham. I am Tom. You can read my tag over here by my glove.
Right, Major, and I am not Houston, but no, I mean Abraham in Genesis is the objective of my line of inquiry. Genesis 12. Abraham was a real final frontier kind of guy, the first one.
Affirmative, Houston. You mean Lecha?
Yes, Tom, yes. Lecha.
And the Lord said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy land, and away from thy birthplace, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. Genesis 12:1.
Nice. And of course you know the Kabbalistic interpretation of that verse from Genesis, from the Zohar, the Book of Splendor.
Negative, Houston. Zohar, not part of the training. Don't mind me, I just need to get this darn thing.
On a simple grammatical level, Lech Lecha is just an emphatic way of saying, go ahead, go for your own sake. But taken quite literally, Lech Lecha means go to yourself.
To yourself. yourself, meaning you yourself are the mission destination?
Precisely. Abraham was invited by God to leave his homeland in Ur-Kasdim and his father's household in order to trek to that land promised to be the place where he'd find his truest self.
Did you say trek?
Indeed. Hislavita.
Then, Houston, we got a problem here.
You've got a problem, Houston? Like a technical problem? Oh gosh, I better call NASA or something.
Negative, I got it. Problem is, if Abraham was the first man to boldly go where no man had gone before, then how would he find himself there where no man had boldly gone before?
Oh, that, right. Well, Tom, it's a question of innermost identity.
Innermost, as opposed to just inner? I just need to do this while we're talking. I'm listening.
No problem. Yes, your inner identity is who you are deep down inside, or high up. In any case, initially you're not in touch with your inner self for various psychological or sociological reasons. It's through acts of introspection that you become in touch with your inner self. You become familiar with who you really are.
But not your innermost identity?
Your innermost identity is something that you can only access by taking leave of everything that is familiar, by leaving your entire world on a trek to the final frontier of familiarity.
Sounds like a mission for a highly trained trekker like Abraham.
Not necessarily so elite. Abraham's going forth is actually exemplary.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hey, that's good. Is that yours, Tom?
Neil.
Neil, but you're Tom.
Roger, Houston.
I'm not Houston, Neil.
Tom.
Tom.
Roger.
Who's Roger?
Blake. Just a sec. I need to just, okay. So Abraham took one giant leap for mankind when he left Ur-Kasdim. Abraham's path is now our path, verified.
Let's put it this way. Abraham's path traced the trajectory of each and every soul in its voyage from celestial birth to terrestrial maturity, and then back again to celestial maturity.
Houston, that's a mouthful. Please use abbreviated procedure.
Abbreviated procedure, okay. The soul originates in the metaphysical altitude that is characterized as a divine crown, Keter, which is basically God's will. And at birth, the soul is told, go forth from Keter.
Get thee out of thy land.
And keep going and descending away from the celestial zone in which spiritual substance, ideas are born, chokhmah, or seminal wisdom.
And away from thy birthplace.
And keep descending still away from the womb-like zone in which spiritual substance gestates and develops, bina, or complex understanding.
From thy father's house.
Until you finally reach the physical world.
Unto a land.
Exactly. Corporeality, life in the body. And it's precisely in this embodied state, rather than in the original pure spiritual state, that the soul perceives and cleaves to the divine self, the divine I.
That I will show thee.
You sure there was no Kabbalah in those Nassau training sessions?
Affirmative.
Affirmative. There was Kabbalah.
Negative.
Affirmative, negative, negative, affirmative.
So let me get this straight, Houston. Just let me hook this on here. So Abraham's trek from Ur-Kasdim to the Promised Land was basically a kind of real-life prototype for each soul's voyage from, how'd you put it, celestial birth to terrestrial maturity.
And a second voyage in the other direction to a celestial maturity.
I don't copy, Houston. Can you de-abbreviate?
Once the soul has made a safe landing on terra firma.
You mean once the soul in the body is born into worldly existence?
It gets a new mission from ground control, a second Lecha, in which the soul is now required to make an ascent away from the gravitational pull of physical existence in order to reach the celestial zone in which it, the soul, now that it's alive, finally reaches its truly final frontier.
The soul is launched into space?
It goes through the same stages of emigration that Abraham went through. It gets out of the restraints imposed upon it by the desires of the body.
Get thee out of thy land.
It breaks away from all the habits developed from childhood.
And away from thy birthplace.
And finally, it breaks away from the unhealthy aspects of the basic education it received at home.
From thy father's house, copy that, Houston. And the soul finally arrives at its innermost self, beyond the final frontier. beyond space, beyond time. Just the soul alone and the Holy One, blessed be He.
Your trajectory is right on mark.
Wilco Houston, commencing countdown, engines on.
Check ignition, and may God's love be with you.
Alrighty then. In the first Aliyah, Hashem commands Avram to leave his father's house and his homeland and travel to the land that he will show him. As a reward for doing so, Hashem promises to make Avram the patriarch of a great nation. Avram obeyed, taking his wife Sarai and his nephew Lot, and once they arrive in Canaan, Hashem informs him that he will eventually give that land to Avram's descendants. Avram travels the length of the land until a famine forces him to travel to Egypt. Fearing that the Egyptians would kill him in order to take his beautiful wife Sarai, he asks her to allege that he is her brother. All right. In today's Tehillim, you're going
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי, לא אחסר, בינוס תשע, ירביצני, על מי מנוחוס ינהלני, נפשי שובב, ינחני ומעגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי לך בגיא צלמובס, לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני, כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
שמע לישראל ושמחתי וימנים לי ויסעלינו יני אלי איים דייסו יורה אלינו בשורייך ירושלים ירושלים הבנויה כאיש החור לא יחדל ששמו שותים שפטי העדות לישראל להוידייס לשיים עלינו Shama yashavu chizais v'mishvat Kisais levayis David Shalu shalayim Yerushalayim Yishrayu oyhavayich Ahai Yishalayim Michayleich Shava V'yayim Yisayich
Tanya for today, the 7th day of Cheshvan.
Tanya thoughts for the 7th of MarCheshvan. The Talmud and its intricate analysis give us insight into Hashem's thinking. The Mishnah and its directives of right and wrong, acceptable and disqualified, kosher and puzzle, align us with God's character, when to be lenient and when to be rigid and restrictive. The 24 books of the Tanakh allow us to bond with Hashem. The mere recital of their verses link us with God. The Kabbalah, the Zohar, the hidden, the personal, they sync us with Hashem himself.
Let's talk Tanya for the 7th of Cheshvan. In yesterday's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe made it very clear that although we live in a world which is dominated by the Eitz Hadas Teivara, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that is our world. But the Torah, every single part of the Torah, including the revealed part of the Torah, the Talmud, the Mishnah, the Halacha, which regulates our life here in this world, every part of Torah is from the Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life, because it is sourced in Atzilus, which is the world of godliness, and it is completely 100% holy and godly. The problem with that is that if we look in Kabbalah in different places, it seems otherwise, because Kabbalah tells us that there are different parts of the Torah, and it teaches us that Kabbalah is sourced in the world of Atzilus, and the Talmud is in the world of Bria, which is the first world of creation, the first of the three worlds that comprise creation. The Mishnah is in the world of Yetzirah, which is the world beneath the world of Bria. And the Mikra, which is the written Torah, the Bible, the Chumash, is in the world of Asiyah, in the world of action. So how are we saying that the entirety of Torah is sourced in the world of Atzilus if in Kabbalah it seems otherwise? Now, actually, this is something that Alter Rebbe discussed earlier on in Tanya in Likutei Amarim in chapter 40. And Alter Rebbe here explains, much as he explained over there, that yes, the entirety of Torah, every single word of Torah, every part of Torah is sourced in the world of Atzilus. The question is, when we access a certain part of Torah, what garment is that part of Torah wearing? Meaning, the world of Atzilus is the world of godliness. It's above and beyond intellect. Godliness is above and beyond intellect. And that's where Kabbalah is from, because Kabbalah, the mystical parts of Torah, essentially is not about intelligence, it's not about intellect, it's about receiving some godly truths, which is above and beyond our understanding. Then there is the Talmud. The Talmud is as the Torah, which is the godly wisdom which comes from the world of Atzilus. But it enters the garment of the world of Bria. The world of Bria is the world of intellect. So, yes, the Talmud is also from Atzilus, but when we're studying the Talmud, it's the Torah as it extends from Atzilus and enters the garment of the world of Bria. Then you have the same thing in the world of Yetzirah. The world of Yetzirah is the world of emotions. The Mishnah is associated with emotions, because just like I like this, I don't like that. So God also, the halachas, God says this is permitted, this is not permitted, this derives from God's emotions, and that's what the Mishnah is all about, to teach us the halacha. So the Torah, when it enters the Mishnah, that means God's wisdom from the world of Atzilus as it enters the garment of the world of Yetzirah, which is the garment of emotions. Then we have the written Torah, which is God's wisdom as it enters the world of action, and that's why it actually enters the words, the parchment and the ink on the paper, which is the garment of the world of Asiyah. But ultimately, every part of Torah is sourced in Atzilus, and therefore every word of Torah and every idea in Torah is godly. None of it is Eitz Hadas Teivara. None of it is part of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's what our world is comprised of, not the Torah. But this raises the obvious question. So if the whole Torah is Eitz HaChaim, is the tree of knowledge, then why does the Zohar seems pretty clear when it associates and connects the Kabbalah specifically with the Eitz HaChaim? But why is that? The entirety of Torah is Eitz HaChaim, and that the Alter Rebbe will address in tomorrow's Tanya.
Thank you for joining Tanya in 5. Today's lesson for the 7th of Cheshvan. We continue in the 26th letter of Igeres HaKodesh. In this letter, speaking about the teachings of the Zohar, where a simple reading might have thought that the Torah, the revealed parts of the Torah, the Mishnah, the Gemara, and the like, meaning the Jewish law, is something that comes from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, when indeed all of the Torah comes from the tree of life, not just the Kabbalistic teachings. And it comes from the level of Malchus of Atzilus, that is godliness itself. It is the divine attributes of God as they are in the world of Atzilus, the world of emanation, are bound up and unified in one with God. Now, meaning, therefore, it is all of the tree of life and all the Torah, all an expression of God coming united and bound up one with God. That being said, in today's class, the Alter Rebbe says that it brings down from Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Arizal, that he says that the Mishnah is of Malchus of Yetzirah. Yetzirah, Atzilus is the highest world, the world of emanation, that's one with God. Then you have created worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, three worlds of the creative process. And the Mishnah is that of Malchus of Yetzirah. So what does that mean? Seems to contradict. We just said it is of Malchus, royalty, sovereignty of the world of Atzilos. So it means to say that that's the garment of Malchus of Yetzirah, in which the Malchus of Atzilos is vested in it. In other words, there is, let's give a metaphor of the individual. This is my metaphor of there's the essence of the person, and then there is the expression of the person. So here we're talking about the essence of all of Torah is of Malchus of Atzilus, and therefore it is bound up with the Ein Sof, with one with God. Hence it is the tree of life. That being said, there's how far down does it express itself? How, and in the Hasidic terminology, is investment. How far does it invest itself? So the Mishnah vests itself all the way to the world of Yetzirah, and therefore it is called a shivcha, which means a handmaiden, and as opposed to Atzilus, meaning the handmaiden, it's not sovereign king, that's how distant it is, yet vested in it is Malchus of Atzilus. And likewise, the teachings of the Talmud is called an Amma, which is also a servant, but a higher level grade of a servant, because it's a higher world. And that's where the Talmud reaches, until the world of Bria. So we'll explain briefly in a moment what that means. And how do we see the distinction here so clearly is when it comes to the written Torah. We spoke now about the oral Torah, but the written Torah itself, meaning the 5 books of Moses, the 24 books of of Tanakh, they vest themselves all the way to the world of Asiya, which is the lowest of all worlds. Even though it's written very clearly in the Zohar and Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Arizal, they write clearly that the written Torah is an expression of Tiferes, Zeir Anpin, small faces of Atzilus. So what does that mean if it's of Atzilus? Well, as we just explained, that means there's a distinction between the way something is an essential form and the way something vests itself, in other words, how far it can go down in self-expression, so to speak, in the terminology again, it vests itself. So when it comes to the written Torah, it vests itself all the way down to the world of Asiya. Hence, that's why the way something is written in the Torah is of great significance. If one letter is written incorrectly, it's invalid. The Torah is invalid. It needs to be corrected. Even if a letter is connected with another letter, it's invalid. Why? Because the godliness vests itself. Essentially, the godliness is one with the Ein Sof, but it vests itself all the way down into the world, the spiritual world of Asiya, that therefore the way it's written is the world of Asiya is the world of action, meaning the act of the writing of the ink on parchment is significant, that it has to be written correctly, because the godliness vests itself that far down. When it comes to the Mishnah, it only goes down to the world of Yetzirah, because the world of Yetzirah is the world of formation, meaning the world of emotion, divine emotion. And hence, therefore, what is the 2 basic emotions of love and awe, which means love you embrace, awe you refrain. That means this is kosher, because you can embrace it. This is not kosher, you refrain. This is pure, therefore it's embraced, or this is impure and you push it away, because that's the world of Yetzirah. So the Mishnah that speaks about the laws of a pure, impure, and so on, and adjudicating law, it essentially is that of Atzilus, the world of Atzilus, which again, one with the Ein Sof, but it vests itself, it finds expression all the way down to the world of Yetzirah. The Gemara, on the other hand, Talmud, only finds expression down to the world of Bria, because the world of Bria is a world of comprehension, and the Gemara, the Talmud teachings, are about the svaras, the logic behind the law. The
book is carbonic. If you're